Or they start differing the difference of the Jews and the Christians. This was at the time where Islam spread to Azerbaijan. Now it was a new conquest. It was a fresh.
Right, I understand that point of view, but what I'm saying is, though, is the two companions of Muhammad who were considered master reciters of the Quran,
but they were not,
had different codices in that area.
Are you telling me that Uthman is referring to Ibn Mas'ud?
Well, he would have at least took his codex at that time.
No, because Ibn Mas'ud's in the chain of narration of Uthman's codex. They both have the same chain of narration, and they both teach they both teach the same students. For example, Uthman ibn Affan teaches Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami, and so does Ibn Mas'ud. So that's why you'll find both of those companions, the tabi'i or the student that they have identical Quran.
The Qurans that they had in their codices were different.
No, I'm telling you they're the same.
Collected these along with.
I've got reference for this.
Can you show me?
Yeah. So it's I don't have it with my hands. It's not even in English. No, it's not in English. It's not been translated. It's in a book called Tabaqat al-Qurra. It's in a book.
I don't know. Okay.
No, but that's not fair on me, is it?
I know, but you can't use it as evidence.
No, I can use it. No, I can use it.
I don't know.
No, but I'm just telling you can.
Okay,
the thing
tell me what it is, and I'll go research it.
Chris, you have to rely on us to translate the Quran anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't you rely on me to translate the source? I don't get it.
But you haven't translated the source. That's the problem.
All right, here's the issue. The book is written.
Any text in Arabic, you wouldn't understand it anyway.
Yeah. So it's not fair. It's going to stunt the conversation. So what I'm saying is, I'll give you the references. A book by Ibn al-Jazari, referred as called Tabaqat al-Qurra, which is the stages of narrators. In it, he mentions that Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami was taught by Uthman ibn Affan and Ibn Mas'ud. That's why they have the same chain of narration. They have the same chain of narration.
Right. How does that relate to my point?
No, because the point you said was, you said that Uthman ibn Affan, when he was being told, he wasn't saying it by the way, أدرك أمتك قبل أن يختلفوا اختلاف اليهود والنصارى, that save your nation before they come like the Jews and the Christians, i.e. that their books become unpreserved, like you admitted your Bible's unpreserved.
Not perfectly.
Not perfectly preserved, whatever. You admitted it. So he's saying before that becomes... Yeah, that's fine, yes, what they believe. It's not all of them. But say for example that he said that, it was said to him. Yeah? I'm saying number one, historical context. This hadith was at the time of Uthman al-Affan, which is some 25 years after the Prophet's death. Yeah? Number two, this was when the Azerbaijan was being conquered. Yeah, and that's why new converts were coming into Islam. Number three, it's the chain of narration of Ibn Mas'ud is the same chain of narration of Uthman al-Affan when it comes to the Quran. So they have the same, they don't differ. And the evidence
they have different surahs though.
No, they don't. I'm saying they don't. For example, you know, if I recite now in the Quran, in the mosque, Hafs and Asim, which is the most, as you know.
Yeah, it's a qira'at though. That comes later.
No, I get it. But I'm saying that qira'ah comes from the same chain as Ibn Mas'ud. Ibn Mas'ud is actually the main guy in the chain.
Right, that's fine.
But basically, I'm saying to you is Ibn Mas'ud, if he believed that the Quran's 112 surahs, not 114, then why is it 112 surahs, not 114, not Falaq and Nas, the two? If he believed that, then why is it that the chain of narration goes back to Ibn Mas'ud? He believes in 114.
What I'm saying is, at one point they argued about it. I then believe after that, after Uthman had standardized
so you agree?
I agree with it.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that. No, I understand. But what it was is, there was.
Even if you admit that they did disagree on it,
after
Muhammad has died,
okay.
there's no authority to be able to.
I'm happy to concede the fact that Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Mas'ud at one point didn't believe that Falaq and Nas.
And Ubay ibn Ka'b as well.
Ubay ibn Ka'b is more controversial, I have to say, because basically his codex had two du'ats after. It doesn't mean anything.
Okay, I know that if you don't consider them a Quran, you consider them du'a. That's fine. But what I mean is because
I like the way you said du'a there. You said that was good pronunciation.
I do try.
You're good, huh?
What I'm saying is that because they disagreed on these things, it makes no sense to say perfect preservation. Because you don't know what Muhammad himself would have said because Muhammad had died at this point.
So is your qualm only with Falaq and Nas? Chapter 12.
My qualm is very specific. Only with the term perfect.
Okay, all right. What I'm saying to you is,
if you say to me, actually, we can infer what was likely meant. We have good reasons for believing that.
All right.
Then I can say, okay.
If
you tell me that there has been no changes and no variations, then I have
no.
I think you've agreed on that.
No. We're saying. Let me be very clear about my position here, and this is the position of the early ones. I'm saying is that first of all, when the Quran was being revealed, there were certain ayat that had been revealed in more than one way. It doesn't change the narrative, but at all. Like, yani, all these qira'at don't change the narrative at all. The story doesn't change.
Well,
no, it doesn't change the narrative
how
at
do you
all.
know that?
I know that because I've been through all of them.
Yeah, but we don't know necessarily what all those aruf are, do we? Or do
No,
you
no,
say that we
no,
do know?
no, no. I'm saying that there's only a superficial cesspool of what it can be.
Right.
So what I'm saying is it's not that many things it can be. Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'll explain that to you. That's a different conversation. But the point is that the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in select verses, he said it in one way and another way. Yeah, like Malik, owner, king. It's not a big difference. Yeah.
Well,
For example,
they came later. You're talking about the difference between what the Hafs would have recited.
no,
versus
but
what the Warsh would
no,
have
no. But
recited.
what I'm saying is that Hafs and Warsh
Yeah.
or Nafa, in fact, or Asim and Nafa, yeah,
Yeah.
because Hafs and Nafa as a teacher,
Yeah.
Hafs as a student,
Yeah.
Warsh as a student, Nafa as a teacher.
Yeah.
Nafa would have taken it from the two available options. This is called ikhtiyar al-qari'. So, for example, yeah, Ibn Mas'ud would have told Hafs, Asim, it's can be recited Malik and Malik. But obviously he can't recite both, so he chooses Malik or Malik. Both of them the Prophet said. So he just chooses one. So there is a choice, but it's a choice with things which both the Prophet said. Do you get it?
I think that you can have a way of knowing what was likely said and what was likely revealed in most cases, but I think there are some cases in which you don't, in which case it makes no sense to say that the Quran has been perfectly preserved.
Your issue
Do you understand with that, though?
I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying to you is that...
Let's go back to what you said earlier, because you talked about the two different ways, and you said there's one way which is that actually if there's any variance whatsoever, then it cannot be kalam Allah, that's a problem. And then the other way, which is the way that you hold, is the view that actually, as long as there's one qira'at,
What, Kalam Allah? Sorry?
the word of Allah.
No, what were you saying? What was Kalam Allah?
So you gave two options, yeah? The first one is there's a school of Islam that says if there's any variations, then that's a problem. Is that fair to summarize?
It's not a school, it's just a...
Okay,
It's,
a way of...
Okay, it's an opinion.
Some scholars hold that.
Yeah.
Okay, an opinion of scholars. Another one is actually, no, we
sorry,
don't hold that.
say the first one again?
So the idea that there cannot be any variations.
No, that's not what they say.
Okay, so what do they say?
Okay, the first group of scholars say, which is the Qur'an and the Mutakallimun,
Okay.
they say that all of the variations must be preserved in order for the Qur'an to be preserved.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
So if anything is lost or if anything...
Yes.
Right, okay, that
Yes.
makes sense. Okay. So
The
I
second
think that-
opinion says
Okay.
that only one variation must be kept in order for the Quran to be preserved.
So on the first view, I think that's evidently not perfectly preserved because there are things that I think are or were supposed to be in the Quran that are not in the Quran.
You can make that argument. You can you can't
I
make.
would be convinced by it.
No. You can make that argument, but that's I'm convinced with the second view anyway.
Okay, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. I understand that. But I think it's important for Muslims to know that that first opinion
Yeah.
is wrong.
For example,
I think it's quite
no,
clear.
I mean-
perfect preservation. Perfect.
No, but the thing is, here's my point, Chris. These two people differed on the term perfect or perfection. Because the first group of scholars said, in order for there to be perfect preservation, all the variants must be preserved.
Right.
The second group said, no, only one variant. So for them, perfection was one variant preservation.
Is there an example in the early Ummah, or among the companions,
Yeah.
where they believed that the Quran as they had it had been perfectly preserved?
When you say perfectly, what do you mean?
What I mean is that the option one. What you just said, option one.
No, that's the point. This is
That's interesting.
No,
Right?
I've
So
not
that
seen
means
it.
that-
I've not come across it.
Okay,
so what I'm saying is,
but what I mean is that I think there's a problem here in the park.
The early days.
Muslims.
The early days. Sorry,
Yeah,
the early days. Yeah, I'm sorry.
What I'm
Sorry.
saying is
Go on.
is that
Yeah.
Muslims seem to think that the Quran has never been changed.
No,
or any
but
part
we're not
of
saying
it.
it has been changed.
Well, I'm saying that there have been parts that have been lost.
No. Okay, that's different.
Okay,
Let me come back.
No,
Hold
version
on.
one.
No.
You see what I mean?
No, let me tell you.
Okay.
Let me explain it. Change and loss are two different things. The Quran,
Well,
if we say, look,
it is the kind of
if
same
we say all the variations, all of the variations of the Quran, like when the Prophet said, "Nuzul al-Quran ala sab'ati ahruf," 7 variations. Is it conceivable on the second view that every single word must be said in more than one way? Some say no, it's not required. So, for example, once again, if I were to say Malik Yawmuddin, owner of the Day of Judgment, that's enough. I don't need to say more for the Quran.
I understand that view.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So if for example, let me
Yeah.
give you a hypothetical just to make this clear. If the qira'ah saying Malik Yawmuddin, which is 6 out of 10, by the way, 6 out of 10 qira'ah. If Malik Yawmuddin wasn't there, on the second view, the Quran would still be preserved. On the first view, the Quran would not be preserved. Do you get it?
I agree.
Yeah.
So I think the problem here then is that there are many Muslims who hold to the first view, not the second. And I just want to make it clear that the first view is wrong.
Okay.
Because you cannot say...
That doesn't have... Even if you go, let's go, no problem.
I think we actually reached consensus there.
No problem.
Cool.
If that's good. Because if you say that the first view, which is that all the variants must be there, blah, 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 and the second view, which is that only one variant has to be there, what we would say is that in order for something to have creedal disproving implications, religious disproving implications, then the second view would have to be the one that's attacked, not the first. The first view is not sufficient. The first view is just a view of some scholars that came after. The ones who are closer to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like At-Tabari and Abu Amr al-Dani and others.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They didn't believe that.
I agree. Yeah, it seems to me from what I've seen from the early Ummah, they didn't have the idea that there was some sort of nothing has been lost whatsoever. Everything is preserved. There's all the different ways that it was recited. Yes. I don't find that. I find the second view, which is what you've mentioned.
But so that's what we would consider that preservation. Let me tell you why.
Wait, the second version.
Yeah. Let me tell you why. At-Tabari makes this argument, and Abu Amr al-Dani makes the same argument. He says, for example, I'll give you the same example. For example, if I done an oath, if I done an oath in Islam, and I have to recompense that oath. Now, when I have to recompense that oath, I have three options: freeing a slave, number one, or fasting 3 days, or feeding poor people. Now, because God tells us you got three options, 1, 2, or 3, if I do one of those, this is how At-Tabari argues. If you do one of those, have I done what is required of me in a perfect way? Yes, I have. Yeah. I don't need to do all three.
That makes sense, but that's not in the context of...
So At-Tabari is arguing that this is what I'm saying. He has a different definition of perfection. Okay. He's saying in order for perfect preservation to happen, all you need is just one qira'ah. Okay. All you need is one.
I think we've probably done pretty well here because I think I managed to get an answer out of you, and I think
this has always been my position.
I just wanted it to be more known, basically.
No problem. What I'm saying is it's better for us because now because the thing is now that the challenge will be this, right? The challenge on the other side will be to prove that any variation that has happened has not, the source of it ultimately was not the Prophet Muhammad. So, for example, Malik versus Malik, owner versus king. How can you prove that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was reciting Surah Al-Fatiha to the companions, that he didn't recite it at least one time in his life, Malik Yawmuddin, which is owner of the Day of Judgment, another time Malik. We are saying the Prophet in the Hadith. The Hadith says that Unzil Quran ala sab'ati ahruf. Quran has been revealed on 7 ahruf, or modes. No problem. Why the Prophet said for taysir, to make it easy for the people, like the Shaykh al-Fani and so on. So some words here and there, which the Prophet said two ways, and the Prophet even said that he asked Allah and Angel Gabriel gave him those. It's called Hadith al-Istizaza. So what I'm saying is, the challenge will be to you then, since we've finished, you've agreed with me, the challenge is, can you prove that any of the variations in the Qira'at al-Ashar, for example, in the 10 Qira'as, or elsewhere, the source of it was not Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asking the angel and so on?
I would say that I'm not so interested in the Qur'an because I think the Qur'an is too late. I want to know about the Haruf.
I'm talking about the variations. I didn't say Qira'at.
Okay.
Any variation word.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But we have that Qur'an because of Hafs and we have it from...
No, what I'm saying is, my question to you is, how can you substantiate, you say that any variation in the Qur'an that we see through manuscripts, through hadiths, or through qira'at, or through any other way, any variation historically identifiable, the source of it originally was not Prophet Muhammad based on this hadith?
I think there are other criteria to demonstrate that second option as well. So first of all, we know from early traditions, early Sahih...
Do you see what I'm saying, yeah?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think there's other ways of doing it. I agree that would be one way of doing it, but I think there's other ways. So I would say another way is if you can demonstrate that certain parts of what was once Quran have now been lost from the Quran, then that would be another way.
No, but that's what I'm saying is, that's not true. That's only on the first view. No, because that's only the first view.
But you would have to have at least one version of it, though, right?
No.
You're saying as long as you have one Quran of it, then it doesn't matter.
That doesn't work. There's two reasons why that doesn't work. Okay. Number one is because, as we said, some variations, yes, those variations were acceptable within the Sahaba and with the sanctioning of the Prophet. Okay. Number two is we believe in abrogation as well. So these two things are, that's why you can't say, well, it's mentioned here in this manuscript, so it's mentioned there in this book, that there's another verse here. Say, okay, I'll bring that other verse and say that's possibly part of what was originally sent to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Possibly, also possibly not.
Yeah, possibly
So, for
not.
example, you know about the verses of stoning and breastfeeding?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is considered by some narrations that this should have
Abrogation.
been in the Quran. I know that you're ultimately going to say that, but I don't see any reason to believe that
There's
was
a
the
hadith
case.
on abrogation.
But wasn't there also a hadith where some people said actually this should have been in the Quran? But
No.
now
That's not what the hadith says.
Okay, what does the hadith
It
say?
used to be part of the Quran. The stoning one used to be part of the Quran, and then it was marfu'a
But
hukman.
didn't the hadith say that now he fears that it's been lost?
No. It doesn't say. No. It was no. It's consensus that it was part of the Quran.
Okay, but it no longer is.
Yeah. That's been abrogated from the Quran.
Okay, so
The stoning الشيخ أو الشيخة فرجموا كل واحد منهم البتة, whatever, that verse has been taken out.
Right.
So
So there
here's
are
the
parts
thing.
that were once considered Quran that are no longer Quran.
Yeah, the Quran says that.
Okay, so the Quran has been perfectly preserved.
No, but the Quran says that itself. ما ننسخ من
Yeah,
آية
but if
أو
I
ننسيها
write a
نأتي
book-
بخير منها
If I write a book that tells you I'm going to remove page 3, by removing page 3 I've still changed the book.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
The Quran has a mechanism of that. So
Right.
when in chapter 2 verse
Right,
106,
right. That's
well,
fine, I
please,
agree.
let me just finish.
Okay.
In chapter 2 verse 106, when it says ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسيها نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها, that we don't abrogate a verse or remove it.
We bring something similar.
Yeah,
or
or,
better,
Right. So there's a mechanism for
Okay, I understand that, but that in effect is agreeing with what I'm saying. Because now you're saying, well, actually, it isn't perfectly preserved, but that's okay because
But Chris,
that's what we should expect.
what you're saying is, all you have to do is find an example of something which is not in the, for example, the Qira'at al-Ashr or something, right? To show that it's been lost. What I'm saying is that's not sufficient. Why that's not sufficient on the second view? It's not sufficient.
Because of abrogation.
No, that's one reason.
Okay.
Abrogation one.
Okay.
The other reason is because on the second view, not everything had to be preserved. Only one variation had to be preserved.
Right, but is there any other variation of the verses of stone feeding?
No, that's
stoning or
abrogated.
breastfeeding?
That's abrogated.
Yeah, but you see, that to me is just confirming.
No, that's abrogated by the companions. They said it themselves in the hadith.
You gave me a challenge. I said, well, here's an example of something that was in Quran and now isn't.
No, what I'm saying is it's abrogated.
There is no recitation of it. And your response is, well, there's a principle of abrogation that explains that.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, in which case, you're actually agreeing with me. You're just saying it's okay. Because
No, but what I'm saying is your criterion is not a good one. Because what I'm saying is, the Quran itself says in chapter 2 verse 106 that there are some verses that have been removed from it or been forgotten from it. It says that.
Yeah. So it's not perfectly preserved.
No, I don't think you understand what I'm saying.
No, I understand what you're saying, but you're trying to argue that because you have the principle of abrogation, that this is a way of getting out of the way of saying that it's not perfectly preserved.
No,
but it cannot be.
We're going back to a subjective word here. Perfectly. What I'm saying is,
I think perfectly means that there's one copy perfectly preserved. That's what.
That's your okay. Great. You think that?
No. That's the definition from textual variant of scholars.
No, but I don't care what they say. Why should we care about what white men say about what perfect preservation is?
What?
Yeah, white men. Yeah. Human rights. Okay. This was written by white men.
Okay.
So if you say to me human rights is defined by the 30 articles of UN resolution, I say, for me, morality is not defined by what the white man decides.
That sounds awfully like you're not trusting it because they're white.
No. Why should white people have a hegemony on the rest of the world?
It doesn't matter their skin color.
No, it does matter.
It does matter.
No, it does matter.
Does that mean that
it does matter? Why should a white man?
If I was a scholar of Quranic studies, right?
Why should a white man have?
Would that mean that my skin color invalidates that?
Did I say that?
Well, yeah, you kind of said that that scholarship is dominated by white people.
No. What I'm saying is this. No, I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that at all. You're lying. You're lying. You're clearly lying.
You said
you're
that Western scholarship is made up of the majority of white people.
No. What I said is clear.
You shouldn't trust it.
Did I say that? Well, it's on camera. If I said that, then they could catch me out. No problem. Go on, call me racist. Do what you want. Call the police. Do what you want. Sorry, what were you talking about?
I don't know. He brought it up. He said like white people.
No. It is. I made a simple statement, and you took it, and tried to make it racial this and racial that.
No, you made it racial by saying it.
It is. I said, why should I?
I said Western.
My question to you was one: why should I be forced to accept
no one's forcing you anything.
All right, great.
No one said forced.
That's good. So in that case,
right, do you accept Western scholarship?
When it's right.
Okay, nothing to do with race though, yeah?
Have I said this?
Well, because you were saying it's dominated by white men.
Yeah, no, but if white people talk about black people's history, then there's a question here. Why should a white man...
There's nothing wrong with people of different
No. If a white man speaks about black people's history, for example, in Africa, they've never lived in the country, they haven't even eaten...
They can't talk about it.
They can talk about it, but they're going to have limitations that white people in the West. They're going to have those limitations. And we...
because they've never been there, not because they're white.
Yes. It's not because of their skin colour, it's because of the geography.
Don't say skin colour then. Just say...
Okay, thank you for your advice. That point.
All right.
No, hold on. This is very important. If I, for example,
Should we stop talking about race?
It's up to you, bro. You're the one who brought it
Let's
up.
stop talking about race now, man. You did bring it
I
up.
said, why should I be forced
to accept Western scholarship that's dominated by white people?
Yeah, why should I? That is the genuine question. I shouldn't be.
I have to go by that.
Why do I have to go by that except for that?
I don't care what someone's skin color is.
Okay, good.
don't understand why
I
you
don't
put
care
it
what
on.
you say, but
Like, what's going on?
yeah, West, yeah.
He said he doesn't trust Western scholarship because it's dominated by white men.
Yeah, I don't think you meant because of colour of skin.
Yeah, it's not the causative reason.
Okay, so it's not race.
Assuming anyway.
The cause is not the pigmentation of your skin or lack thereof in your case. Yeah, it's not the fact that you're white and
Okay, so it's not
the
to do.
Prophet ﷺ told us very clearly. There's no difference between a white man and a black man.
Except for in Western scholarship.
Sorry.
Except for in Western scholarship, because that's what you said.
What I'm saying is, just because you have a hegemony, because you said
On
scholarship.
race, apparently.
See, now you're forcing it up on me. He's poisoning the
No,
well.
that's what you said. You said white people.
White people,
Yes.
right now,
In Western scholarship, that's what you talked about.
Yes. If white people, it could be black people, it could be brown people, Western people.
Right.
Let's use the word.
I'd rather not talk about people's colour.
Bro, I don't
You
care.
keep doing
I
it.
don't care what you care. Well, I said my
Okay,
statement. You
alright.
can do what you want with it. Honestly, call me what you want. I don't care.
All right. Well, let's get out
Look,
of this because
the point is this.
Yeah.
Perfect preservation.
Yeah.
We have our own definitions of it.
Right. Which
You have
does
your
not
own.
meet the scholarly interpretation.
The white man's interpretation. No, the white man's.
Now do you believe
No, there you have it.
I gave him every opportunity to get out.
No,
I gave him every opportunity.
It's a subjective term. Look,
Why is it
perfect is subjective.
No. If you
It's not like 2 + 2 = 4.
With textual variance, textual criticism.
What does perfect mean?
It means that there is one copy of something. That
According
we
to
know
who?
comes
According
from
to
one
who?
author.
According to who?
According to anyone who studies textual variance.
Like who?
Any scholars.
Give me one.
Dr. Daniel Brubaker.
So white man. No, white. No, hold on.
Man,
No,
you're digging yourself a hole.
No, he's
Just get
a
out
white
of it.
Islamophobe.
Get
Well, hold on.
He's a white Islamophobe.
He is a white Islamophobe who's appeared in David Wood's channel. You're giving me him as a source.
So
Why
now
should I
you're
accept
saying-
this? That's
Why would you
nonsense.
accept it? It's
Bro,
academia. Why do you not accept academia?
Well, because a white man wrote it, I have to believe in it.
No, any colour.
Okay, any color. If it was
You do
black.
know that Dr. Yasser Qadi studies, right? Like, I think he studies at University of Wales. I think it might be a different one. You're
So
not
what?
saying that you would accept him because of the colour of his skin.
I
right?
don't
You
care
wouldn't say
about him or anyone else. I'm saying that the
Only
word.
if they're white.
Look, excuse me. The word perfect.
Okay.
Let's forget about race now. Yeah.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
need to
good.
get out of that.
I don't need to get out of that. I've said what I said. I've been saying this
Stand by
from
your words.
2012. Yeah. I've been talking about there is an issue with race here. There is an issue with race.
Race has nothing
Because
to do
there's a
with it.
post-colonial reality, yeah, where whiteness is actually something which is part of the discourse.
Whiteness.
Yes, whiteness is the skin color itself. In my country, where I'm from,
whiteness?
look, whiteness, your color. Do you understand or not? If you go to a country
Okay,
like, if
so
you go to a
white
country,
people.
excuse me, if
Yeah.
you go to a country
Yeah.
like my original country,
I don't know what that is.
all right, which is Egypt, yeah,
Okay, cool.
or you go to parts of India, they have a caste system whereby the lighter skin you are, the better you are. There is a racial element.
And you
here.
don't believe in that.
No, I don't believe that. The whiter you
Okay.
are, the better you are. No, I don't. Do you believe that?
Or the other way around.
Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe that at all.
Oh, good man. That's what.
Okay. Well, my point is why do you keep talking about whiteness?
The reason why whiteness is important, my friend, yeah, is because
You just told me it wasn't.
it's-
Okay, go on.
it's important in some aspects. For
Yeah.
example, writing of history is because, for example, in the colonial period,
Okay.
a lot of the reason why people enslaved or colonized races was because they believed that their race was better than that race.
Okay.
Do you know that or not?
No,
For
sure,
example, the
I-
transatlantic
I-
slave trade.
Yeah, I know
when
about
they
that.
went into West Africa,
Sure.
part of the justification of doing that, Darwin himself writes in his book that he thinks that the black man has a fifth toe or
What's
something.
this got to do with whiteness, though?
Because it's whiteness is part. Look, for example, Nazi Germany. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
When they were doing scientific experimentation, 1930s,
Okay.
they were doing eugenics programs.
Yep.
Their idea was that the whiter you are, the better you are.
The more Aryan you are, the better.
Yeah, that's whiteness skin.
That's not. You don't know
Yeah,
Aryan
bro,
is.
sorry, but it's
You do not
whiteness.
include people from
They
the
mentioned that the blacker you are, I can give you sources for it, bro.
If you look at what.
So you're,
why are we talking about?
So you're hold on. Look,
we were
he's
going-
defending
no,
Hitler.
you're-
By the way, he's defending Hitler.
I'm defending
He's defending Hitler. Yeah.
Really, dude?
He's
No,
defending.
Hitler was abhorrent.
No, you're defending the eugenics program of Hitler.
You're defending
Are
that
you doing
whiteness
that?
is some sort of like.
Have I said that?
Yeah, you said whiteness. You used the term
I said
whiteness.
some sort of what? Go on.
You
Finish the
used
sentence.
the term whiteness.
What have I said about it?
And you said that whiteness was an important thing in the,
It is
in
an
the
important
context
thing.
of academia.
Of course it is, because
Nah,
there's
it's a racial
there is.
statement.
Yes, it is a racial statement. It's not a racist statement. It's a racial statement.
Well,
I'm saying
it
that
is specifically about white
no,
people,
because there has been a history where white people have gone into black
Every
people's
race has done
country.
things to every race. You
No,
understand
but they're doing it on the basis of race.
that? Many people have done things on the basis of race.
White people in particular. White people in particular.
Everybody
No.
has.
Western is a better word.
Listen, with all due respect, I made my point. I've said my point is this: if in the post-colonial literature you do find history is coloured, no pun intended, is coloured by the racial preferences and superiority complexes of white people for the last 100 years. I know that exists.
Okay, so does that mean you accept or reject Western
I'm
academia?
not saying that I accept or reject. I'm saying that I look at all evidences on the basis of the evidence. But you have to appreciate there can be a bias. There can be a bias that has to do with race. There can be a bias that has to do with
Are you
placement
saying
geography.
there is a bias on race?
Yes, there is. Well, historically, of course, there has been.
No, I mean like now.
Yeah, of course there is. Have you not seen the?
Wait. So
Have you not seen? Have you not seen many? Sorry, racial.
One thing is,
sorry, let me just answer your question.
Okay.
Have you not seen race realism? What is race realism? Race realism.
Is it saying there's inherently qualities in race that are superior to others?
Exactly. And
I reject that, absolutely.
Great. Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Race realism exists. Race realism says that the whiter you are, basically the cleverer you are. They use IQ and other things to say that the blacker you are.
It's any race, really.
Okay, no,
Do
you reject that. Do you reject
yeah,
that?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
I reject it.
Now you reject that,
Yeah.
but you can't assume all of your peers do. A lot of your.
Okay.
I'm not
I've
considering
never met
you.
a single person who affirms that, by the way.
So race realism, who's it upheld by? But by nobody.
I don't know, like the KKK?
No, it's not by the KK. It's an academic thing, bro. It's in academia. People equate
Is it a
intelligence.
popular view in academia?
Yes, it's quite
A
popular.
popular view in
academia.
race realism.
It's popular. Yes, it's popular. Very popular. Extremely popular.
That there are certain races more superior than others.
Yes, of course.
Can you name scholars?
Yeah, of course I can name scholars, bro.
Name me two.
I'll give one. Yeah, one for now. Charles Darwin. Bro, very clearly, Charles Darwin.
From
Now hold on.
200 years ago.
No problem.
Come on. Name me one today.
Wait, hold on.
Academic now.
I know. Name me one today. Name me one today.
Excuse me.
Name me one
Right,
today.
let me finish. I'm not going to meet your arbitrary requirements. Wait, hold on. Let me finish.
He can't tell you because he's lying.
No, I'm lying. You can go and write race realism and see.
You know, academia is probably the least racist place.
You think that white people have not been racist in academia? Is that what you're saying?
No, white people have been racist.
Now.
Yeah, there are racist people.
And that racist bias doesn't.
But you're saying that most or a popular view in academia right now
Yes.
is race realism,
Yes.
which means that certain races are superior to others.
Yes. In intelligence.
And you can't
yes.
tell me two of them.
Well, I'm not an expert in race realism, to be honest.
But you know this though.
Yeah, I know it exists.
Wait, you're not an expert on. Well, okay,
I've never said I was an expert.
Yeah, I understand that, but you're talking about
Well,
it
why-
because you know who these people are, and you're saying.
Okay,
there's a big problem with
great. Sam Harris.
He's a race realist.
He's a race realist.
He believes that certain races
are better than
superior
others.
to
Yeah, Sam Harris. Yeah.
Okay. I'll take your word on
There's
that.
very clear statements from what he says, Sam Harris, that he believes that he hints at it very clearly. And
Hints at it?
He hints at it and in his public speeches, but I've read it in his
So
works.
if I email him, he will confirm what you're saying.
Ask him this question. Ask him, is intelligence based on race? Is there racial differentiation? Sorry, is there differentiation?
No, you're deviating now.
No,
because
hold on.
Talking about supremacy.
No, hold on.
As in one
Yeah,
race
supremacy.
in its entirety is better than another race.
Are white people
Right.
biologically biologically superior to black people in intelligence? Ask him that question, see how he answers. And tell me how that goes.
I'll tell you how that goes.
Tell me how that goes.
But Sam Harris is not a mainstream academic scholar.
He's,
What, you think most people agree with Sam Harris?
Sam Harris is not mainstream.
No, he is in his popular writings, not in academia.
Well, I agree with that.
As someone who's looked into Sam Harris.
No, fair enough.
who's read the moral landscape, he can tell you
I actually agree with you.
Okay.
Fair enough. But he's part of the public discourse.
Okay, I agree with that.
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
But I'm
But it
saying
exists.
Academia,
It
though.
exists, bro.
Yeah,
It exists.
I'm not denying it
Great,
doesn't
that's-
exist. I'm
so
saying
race
it's
is
not,
important.
it's not a big thing though.
You're saying
It's not a
race
big
is not
thing.
important. I'm saying race is important.
No, I'm not saying
That's
racism
all.
isn't important. Racism is a horrible thing, and it is important to challenge racism. What I'm saying though is that you seem to be inflating that with scholarship. And
I'm saying no. You seem to be thinking that anything that is scholarly is free from bias.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
So
I'm saying that you're implying
What
that
is it?
Western scholarship
What is it?
about the Quran is largely through a lens of whiteness, I think.
No. Okay, I didn't say that. I've never said that.
You don't say that.
No, now you've just you've put words in my
I
mouth.
put words in your mouth.
You
I
have.
think
I've never said
So
that.
what are you saying about Western scholarship on white?
Western scholarship of the Quran
Right.
is limited, just like Eastern scholarship of the Quran can be limited. Both of them are limited in their own ways. That's true. But what I'm saying is the reason why this all came up is based on the preservation discussion.
Yeah, and I said that based on textual criticism, the study of such, it makes no sense. No scholar would say the Quran has been perfectly preserved by that standard.
By who? Which you said no scholar. Al-Tabari is a scholar. So you're making it yourself.
I'm talking about today.
Why does that have to be today?
Because that's you.
Okay,
When you talk about academia, you talk about the
So
latest.
does that have to be non-Muslim scholars?
No, it could be any Muslim. It could
Okay,
be
Mohammed
anything. It could be Muslims, it could be-
Tayyar says perfectly
Right.
preserved. He's a huge scholar. He's written on this
An
topic.
expert on textual criticism.
He's one of the biggest experts.
What are you talking about?
You have to wait and see. Go on.
Quite a few things.
Go on.
Main topic.
Islam and the preservation of the Quran. Listen,
Keep going.
What I'm saying is that scholars will not say perfect preservation, and the reason they wouldn't say
What
is
do
because
they mean by...
Right. Because
I think we're running around in circles here, bro. Do you understand? What, 2 plus 2 equals 4.
I'll tell you what. How about you make a final statement?
Okay,
you make
fine.
a final
Fine,
statement,
fine.
and then we end it there. You happy with that?
Okay, yeah, let's finish it.
Do you want to go first?
All right.
I'll go first.
You go first. Go first. Go, please.
So what I'm saying is that it makes no sense for Muslims in the park or anywhere to say that the Quran has been perfectly preserved. Why? Because there was no understanding in the early Ummah that the Quran was perfectly preserved, letter by letter, dot by dot. Instead, what Muslims believe now is wrong. Perfect preservation isn't true. Muhammad has actually demonstrated through his view, his secondary view, that he doesn't believe that, and that he said that there are some scholars who believe that nothing should be lost from the Quran, because if something is lost, then that would illustrate that it has been not perfectly preserved. But that first view should not be held by Muslims. Rather, you should be honest and say, yes, there may be some cases where we have lost certain parts of it, but we have others, as Mohammed said, on the second option, and that is fine. This is the main point I wanted to talk to Mohammed about, and I think you've clarified that, and I'm happy that you
All right, thanks. There's a few things I want to say. First and foremost, when it comes to where we started this discussion, you said that Muslims believe, do you believe that the Quran is word for word, there's no differences, there's no change? I say that.
That's because I've heard Muslims say that.
Have you finished your conclusion? Now it's my turn, yeah? So I'm saying is that you've heard Muslims say it, popular speakers or whatever. I'm saying that we as Muslims believe that there are variants within some words of the Quran that are sanctioned by the Prophet, whereby the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith, "Unzil al-Quran ala sab'ati ahruf." The Quran has been revealed on 7 different modes. So, which means to say that each word can have differences up to 7, according to Musa Tayyar's view. Actually, he says that so you can have those differences. Now, those differences go back to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The reason for them is taysir. Yeah. The minimum requirement for preservation, according to At-Tabari, Abu Amr al-Dani, and many others, is that only one variation of the Quran, for example, as to recite Malik rather than Malik, not the opposite, oh no, not king, is required. Therefore, the existence of other things, or manuscripts, or hadiths, or any other thing, which would seemingly indicate Quranic content, which is not Quranic, on the second view, which is the Tabari's view and the early people, would be possibly Quranic, but not actually Quranic, because it does not fulfill the actual criterion. The criterion, by the way, for Quranicness is that it has to have a chain going back to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It has to be in the codex, and also that it has to be in line with the Arabic language. This is a triangulated preservation. So in order for the challenge that I put to Chris, was that in order for someone to say that the Quran has not been preserved, on this view, they would have to show why it is that, or how it could be that those variants don't go back to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the only task you have. If you can show that, for example, Malik, owner of the Day of Judgment, Malik Yawmuddin, versus Malik Yawmuddin being the king, if you can show that those two things, the source of them is not Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but in fact some other source, then you have an argument against the preservation of the Quran. Then you spoke at length about perfection or perfect preservation. I said that perfect is a word fraught with subjectivity. We can't rely on the dictionaries of the Western people, or the so-called scholarship of Quranic experts in the recent times of what perfect. Even that, I don't think they don't speak in the ways that you spoke. You have not mentioned one source. But having said that, what we consider perfect on the second view is that one variant is preserved throughout the Quranic script. And from that perspective, we do think the Quran is perfectly preserved. So it's not true to say, from our perspective, we don't believe the Quran is perfect. We believe the Quran is perfectly preserved. Any variant goes back to the Prophet. In order to prove this point, you have to show that this variant has not come from the Prophet.
Okay.
That's done now. We're done now. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, anytime. Nice chat. Yeah, no, that's it. We're done. Thank you very much, man.
You're famous now.
I dare you, if you're a man or a woman to do what I'm about to suggest. IslamNet is a Muslim organization establishing a masjid in the capital of Norway. The property, alhamdulillah, has now been purchased, and now we need to reconstruct it into a fully functioning masjid and community center. To be part of building a masjid is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. The Prophet ﷺ stated, whoever builds a mosque for Allah, Allah will build for him a similar house in Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, believe in Allah and His Messenger and donate from what He has entrusted you with. So those who have believed and donate will have a mighty reward. But what is this mighty reward that your donation inshallah will bring you? Well, much more than you initially gave. Your good deed will be multiplied by 700, up to 700 times when you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who will forgive your sins inshallah. And all the ajr that is happening in the masjid, all the prayers that are happening, the ruku' and the sujood and the dua and the charity and the ta'aleem and the learning, all of those things, you inshaAllah will get a copy of those good deeds inshaAllah ta'ala, and the pleasure of your Lord and an eternal home in Jannah. Allahu Akbar. And that is indeed a mighty reward. Don't miss out on this rare opportunity. Click the link and donate and earn the rewards promised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and don't forget to share the video. Barakallahu feekum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.